Welcome back to DeLorean Rental, your number one destination when looking to rent a DeLorean Time Machine for your next party or event. We've got over 80 cars from Los Angeles to New York and a lot of places in between. So if you're looking for a DeLorean Time Machine for your wedding, corporate event, birthday, or maybe even just a video shoot, head on over to DeloreanRental.com. Get a quote today. Short episode today. We're actually just going to take a look at Eric Stoltz's interview from way back when. Many of you will already know Eric Stoltz was the first Marty McFly. He filmed well over half the movie as Marty McFly, and then was subsequently fired. And they were able to bring in Michael J. Fox because, again, they were just looking for a little bit more comedy. Eric Stoltz's role, as many of you has hopefully have seen, and a little bit of the tidbits that have been released. It was just a much darker role with him in it, but he's a fantastic actor. But I thought this video was really good of him kind of explaining, what happened, his mindset during the whole thing, and kind of just a class act that he is through this with a positive mindset and a positive, again, outlook towards things. Even if things are going negatively, just being positive can certainly make a big difference. And it did in his career. He's had a fantastic career. He's had many different big roles. So we'll play the clip. It's about 3 minutes long, 3-4 minutes long. We'll play it, and then we'll get a reaction afterwards. So, without further ado,
is it true that you had the Michael J. Fox role in Back to the Future?
Yes, it is.
What happened?
Well, I used to have a great answer for this, that in the sequels, they would go back in time to the point when I was in the cast, and it would all become explained, but I can no longer give that answer. What happened was the director fired me.
Why?
He didn't like my work.
So they were well into the filming, or right at the start?
We were pretty far into filming, yes. He was very nice about, well, as nice as you can be when you're firing someone, but he said that I wasn't giving the performance that he wanted for his film, which I can respect.
How big a disappointment was that for you? You had to have a pretty good sense that this was going to be a box office success.
No, actually, I didn't. And I try not to think about how a film might perform at the box office. I think that's detrimental to performing. But it was devastating to me. I was a young actor. It was probably the worst thing that can happen to you in your career.
Do you ever get over, and when I say you, I don't mean just you individually. Does any performer, you think, ever get over the fear of being rejected by a director, by a casting director, by the audience, by critics?
Sure. I think you do. I think people do constantly if you're at all healthy. I have, just in the fact that once you've been fired by, a huge boffo movie, what could be worse? What could happen to me in my career that could be worse than that? And somehow I survived that. And now I have, I think, a much better sense of myself. And I no longer have a lot of those fears that I once did.
So probably a good thing that it
Ultimately,
happened.
Yes, difficult medicine at the time, but...
What was the next thing you did right after that?
I went back to my acting class with Peggy Fury and Bill Traylor. And I studied for a year, and then I went to Europe and did 2 beautiful films that really meant something to me, and got back on the horse.
Now you replaced Eric Stoltz eventually in the role of Marty McFly. How did you feel about that? I mean, presumably you were quite pleased to get the part.
Well, I had a lot of feelings. I had real mixed emotions about it. It is, in my way of thinking, the actor's nightmare to start a project and for something to happen and to have to leave it under whatever circumstance. I wouldn't want that to happen to me. But as I talked to Stephen and Bob Zemeckis and whatnot, I found it was a very mutual thing, and they were very compassionate and very understanding in the way that they dealt with him. And when I understood that after talking to them, that they weren't saying, well, dump this guy and you'll come in or whatever. It was just they spoke very highly of Eric, and that impressed me, and that made it an easier thing for me to step into.
All right, there we have it. Thought he did a good job. Again, I thought it was interesting to hear kind of Eric Stoltz's mindset from getting fired to how he actually went into the roles, right? He doesn't even go into roles or didn't go into roles thinking that it was going to be a blockbuster. He just kind of put it out of his mind. Obviously, he was crushed. Anybody would be crushed losing such a big role, but I loved his mindset towards the whole thing. So again, there's other interviews out there I think that you can find, but I thought this one was really good. Just to give everybody a mindset of, or an idea of kind of Eric Stoltz's mindset when he got fired, and maybe just any feedback that he had gotten. And Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, there's a lot of stuff out there as well that you can find that, where they kind of talk about Eric Stoltz, and they like being around him. It was just unfortunate that he ended up getting let go. They did want Michael J. Fox in the beginning, but because of family ties, they weren't able to make it happen. So then they filmed a ton of the movie with Eric Stoltz. He got fired, and then Michael J. Fox decided, hey, I'll film Family Ties during the day, and in the evening I'll film Back to the Future, and they were able to make it work. So again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty cool video in an interview. So enjoy. We'll see you on the next episode.